Thank you so much. Before I begin, I want to do something that I couldn't do 15 years ago, and that's take a selfie with the class of 2015. Because I couldn't do it because cell phones didn't exist and many of you weren't born. So on the count of 3, I want you all to say, "Hire me." 1, 2, 3. If you see me after the ceremony, I'll text it to you. Thank you, Chancellor Grant. Thank you to the Board of Trustees and the faculty and the staff and the students, the parents, spouses, partners, children, and especially the graduates. As a writer, I work from home. So I was at home when I received a phone call from the former Chancellor, Chancellor Emeritus Ann Ponder, about speaking at today's commencement. And I asked her, I said, "As a commencement speaker, what am I going to have to do?" And she said, "Oh, it's easy. You just kind of show up and you wear a robe." And I thought, I can do that. When she called me, it was 2:30 on a Wednesday afternoon, and I was still wearing a robe. So I figured the transition wouldn't prove too difficult. So needless to say, I was thrilled, and more than that, I was honored. And a few days later, I received an email from Chancellor Ponder containing a few particulars about travel and other arrangements. And I scrolled through it, and I was reading it and planning the trip. And I found that it was part of a larger email chain. She had accidentally included me on an email chain in which she'd reached out to the Department of Literature and Language to get the skinny on my time at UNCA. And I thought I'd share a few of the excerpts that I found. When approached about my returning to UNCA, Rick Chess wrote, "Cash was in one of my poetry workshops, and I can't tell you how thrilled I was to learn that he'd moved on to fiction." David Hope said, "In 1998, I co-starred in a play that Wiley wrote, and I haven't been able to find acting work since." Merritt Mosley said, I never had Wiley Cash in class, thank God." And Lori Horvitz said, "Is this the best alumnus you could find? Surely James Franco has managed to get a degree from UNCA." And after reading these messages and thinking about it, I found myself pondering the same thing you're probably pondering now. How in the world is it possible that James Franco doesn't have a degree from UNCA? And then I checked, he's actually enrolled in some online classes and he hopes to graduate next spring. In all seriousness, I love this university and I love being here. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about loving and I want to talk about being. First, love. You're all surrounded by people you love. And it's easy to love these people. They've been supportive and understanding and patient during the past 4 or 5, 6, maybe 10, 15 years of your time at UNCA. I think I was in class with some of you. It's easy to love these people because they love you. And I'm very fortunate. There are a number of people in my life who are incredibly easy to love. The first is my wife, Mallory. Her love for me is the only reason I'm now making a career as a novelist. And because of this, it's easy for me to love her. And it's made easier because she's smart and funny and beautiful and not here, so she's not horrified that I'm saying that about her. The second is my 7-month-old daughter, which is the reason she's not here. And as you can imagine, she's easy to love as well. And luckily, she takes after her mother and that she's smart and funny and beautiful. The rest of my family, my parents, my older sister, Jada, my younger brother, Cliff, they have been and they continue to be supportive of my life and my career. They love me, so they're easy to love. When I think of love in this way, meaning that we love others, so they love us in return and so on, I think about reciprocity and balance and equity. But graduates, this isn't always going to be the case in your life. It certainly hasn't always been the case in mine, especially when it comes to writing. I love writing. I love the written word. I love the act of placing words on paper or the computer screen. I love using words to create characters and stories. So imagine how surprised I was when I discovered that writing was never, ever going to love me back. Unlike my wife, my daughter, my parents, siblings, and friends, writing was never going to meet me halfway in our relationship. There would be no reciprocity, there would be no balance, there would be no equity. This first became clear to me one Saturday night during my sophomore year here at UNC Asheville. It was late, probably near or past midnight. My girlfriend had just dumped me, and I was sitting at my desk over in Scott Hall working on a story about a guy whose girlfriend had just dumped him. Downstairs in the lounge, a group of my close friends were having a party, and several of them had come upstairs throughout the night to invite me down. But I never went. Something kept me at the desk in front of the computer where I was putting words on the screen. I think that something was love. I had fallen in love with writing. Don't get me wrong, I loved the friends downstairs. They loved me, and I'm still close with many of them. As a matter of fact, I've seen many of them this weekend. But I had fallen in love with writing, and because I knew it would never love me back, I double loved it to make up for that lack of equity. I've been on bestsellers lists, I've given readings and attended events all over the world. I've shared the stage with writers I never thought I'd meet, much less call friends. Over the past 5 years, my life has changed in ways I never could have imagined. And after all that, I can tell you this. I've never felt more like a writer than I did that Saturday night in Scott Hall on the campus of UNC Asheville in the fall of 1997. I felt like a writer then because I decided to give myself over to it, to double love it. Getting a book contract didn't make me love writing any more than I already did. Holding my first novel in my hand didn't either. Graduates, I want to encourage, to beg, to plead with you to find something you love and be prepared to double love it because it's not going to love you back. And you have to be okay with that. If you're an attorney, the law is never going to love you. If you're an engineer, physics are never going to love you. If you're an actor, the stage is never going to love you. Like all one-sided relationships, you're going to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I giving so much love when I don't get love in return? Perhaps the answer to this question is in the next thing I want to talk about, and that thing is being. When children are young, we ask them, what are you going to be when you grow up? And then once those children are grown, we ask them what they do for a living. As adults, we seem intent on privileging the doing over the being. And one could make the argument that we too often forget that we are human beings and not human doings. When we think of education, we often think of it as preparing us to do something. But an institution like UNC Asheville, which is steeped in the liberal arts, is geared toward allowing us to be something, to be enlightened, to be aware, to be involved, to be curious, to be interested, and hopefully, especially as you go on the job market, to be interesting. Today, I want you to think less about what you want to do after this morning's commencement and more about what you want to be. Perhaps you spent the past however many years preparing to do the work of an accountant or a teacher or a psychologist or a writer. But something in the back of your mind has been telling you that that's not what you are. It's never too late to be what you are. If you surrender to this, then you will uncover the thing you love. the thing to which you will be willing to dedicate your life, the thing that will never love you back, but the thing you will always be willing to double love. So, if I meet you after today's ceremony, I'm not going to ask you what you're going to do for a living. I'm going to ask you what you want to be. But the good news is this: that thing you want to be, I'd be willing to bet you already are. So, to the University of North Carolina Asheville's class of 2015, on this 9th day of May, I wish you all the success you can have and all the joy you can stand, and I hope everything good happens to you. Thank you.